Laurie Huston's News for the Heart is dedicated to helping you give a voice to your own soul. Our hearts have the power to free us from pain and the struggles that keep us from awakening to our true essence. Join Laurie now as we delve into our heart and soul to find the path that will open us to the possibilities and lead us to the life we love to live.
And good afternoon. This is News for the Heart. And today, well, it is the middle or the second Tuesday of the month, which means I get to talk to Tracy McBurney today. And we've been chatting for, we've been chatting for the last hour before we're getting into the show, trying to come up with segueing into what we're coming up with. So we're going to start with something that happened with Tracy this week, which sounds very fascinating with regards to...
Extraordinary thing that happened this week.
Extraordinary
thing.
Welcome, Tracy.
Hey, love the laugh. Thank you for the laugh. I come for the laugh. I come for the conversation. I come for the laugh. I swear to God, you should trademark that and you'd make $1 million. Okay. So, all right. So it's amazing what can happen when you finally get so fed up that you look to the sky. You look to the sky, you look to the universe, and you say these incredible words, I am ready. It's a decree. I am ready. I am ready. And I did that. I got to a place where I was so upset with my instability, like the instability of walking downstairs, the uncertainty of how that's going to be walking downstairs. So upset by the having to pull myself upstairs because I didn't have the muscular strength, what my son would call feebleness. And I was like, feebleness? I'm 58. You're calling me feeble. It was a horrible moment. I'm like, you can't call me feeble. But he was right in a certain sense. Like I'd lost so much muscle integrity in my legs and in my ankles. And more specifically in my ankles, when I was doing Qigong months ago before we were in lockdown, I was even recognizing, wow, the lack of integrity strength in my ankles is extraordinary. Like it was one of my biggest problems standing up, trying to do any of those postures and hold anything for any length of time. And I was like, wow, I thought it was knee, but it was ankle, like the awareness of that. So there I am. Finally looking at the sky. I am ready. I am ready. I am ready to sort the unsortable. I am ready to heal the unhealable. I am ready to fix what is seemed or deemed to be impossible in some psychology and some crazy embedded unconsciousness within me. I'm ready. I'm ready to sort this. And that has been amazing. Because I end up there's a gentleman that's come into my life, Lester. Now I've heard about Lester for several years through a client, Lester the Magnificent, Lester the Magical. And she had said to me on more than a few times, you and Lester need to meet. Like you are really gifted in your own right. He's incredibly gifted in him. And you guys see things, talk about things from different places. But you guys would be an amazing it'd be amazing to watch the two of you have lunch, to watch the two of you kind of connect and talk. And the extraordinary thing is that Lester ends up coming into my office. Not me coming into his, but him coming into mine. And that, I think it had to happen that way. I'm not so sure that I ever would have move forward to pick up the phone to book that appointment with him. So I'm so happy that all of that transpired, and maybe it transpired because of me looking at the sky and saying, I'm ready. I ended up having this really extraordinary appointment with Lester yesterday. And he was able to tell me some things that I had never heard from anybody. And he does really amazing assessments of tendons and ligaments and muscles and bone and posture. And he's just brilliant at what he does. And I had found out that he was also the teacher to somebody that I'd gone to years ago to do some rehab muscle work. So there are these really gifted people who just know how to activate muscle again. They know how to reawaken a tendon or a ligament. They just know how to do this. They know where to touch. They're not necessarily what you call osteopaths. More, I think they call themselves kinesiologists. And I'd been to one of these people, and it turned out that this person, Josh Young, who I'd been to, that I think is really gifted in his own right, he was taught by Lester. And so there I was on the massage table yesterday, and he's doing all of these assessments, and he was able to say to me that he really honestly believes, after he's done all of this assessment, which took over an hour, that he really feels like there's a problem in my tailbone area. And he said it's almost like your hips are separating, and it's affecting spinal fluid. It's affecting circulation in your brain. He started to answer so many, gave me so much understanding about some things that were going on in my physiology. I've been very concerned about my brain, very concerned about the circulation of my brain. And it had never occurred to me that circulation issue that I've been so concerned about in my brain and that I felt sometimes could actually have its rootedness in a tailbone injury. Mm-hmm. And he said to me, based on what I had told him as far as stories that I told him from things in my past, he said, I believe that your fall happened in your early 20s, if you're to go back in time, on your tailbone. Early 20s, late teens. It happened before this. It happened before that, because he listened to some of my history. And I was able to immediately go back to the moment. And I said to him, but I walked away from that fall. You know, I fell on the stairs. It hurt. I remember, like, it was like bang, 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 bang. I just didn't hit my tailbone once. I fell down the stairs of the University Theater. Oh, like, geez. I don't know if you remember those stairs. I worked at the University Theater. And I literally slipped on the carpet one day, and I literally, my foot just slipped, whatever the shoes I was wearing, they didn't hold the carpet, and I literally went down, and it was like, and I didn't use my hands and I went, and I don't know why I didn't use my hands, or maybe I did. Maybe I did actually, as I remember it, because it was something that went back with my shoulder as well. And I remember my shoulder being one of the issues of that day. But I said to him, I walked away from that, like bang, 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 bang down the stairs. And I really felt like kind of like discombobulated, I remember, as I sit there. But I walked away from that. And he's like, yeah, you can walk away from these things. But that doesn't mean there isn't some injury that's happened that needs to be administered to. And now we're here years later with the physiology that's going on for me now. But what I was saying to you earlier in our conversation is what I find extraordinary, and the message that I want to get out to people that I find extraordinary is I have been telling myself this problem. I've been giving myself clues for a long time about this problem. Like, as I've been feeling like I have to hold on to railings. You know, like I wasn't holding on to a railing when I was walking down those stairs. If you remember the University Theater stairs, if you were ever there, they're like Cinderella stairs. They're giant, big stairs. To hold onto a railing, you have to be on one side or the other, but most people just walk straight down the stairs. Lots of people just walk. I can't walk straight down the stairs anymore, not in any staircase, but I was doing that day in and day out. I was walking up and down those stairs, and I wasn't hanging onto railings. And if I'd been hanging onto a railing that day, that never would have happened. And so I had the ability to go up and down those stairs fast in my early 20s and in my teens. Fast, up and down the stairs. An ability that I don't have now. An ability that I look at other people when they're doing it, going up and down subway stairs and stuff. And I go, wow, wouldn't that be nice just to be able to do that and not have to hold on to railings, and to have the muscle integrity and the leg integrity to do that. But I was continually giving myself that information. You know, need to hold on to railings, the safety of holding on to railings, the information about being fearful about falling downstairs, like this constant fear. Like I will literally get to any staircase at the top of the staircase, and it doesn't matter how big or small that staircase is, and I will stop, and my brain will assess it. Literally, there's a whole assessment that happens. and there's a looking for the railing that happens. And it's like, and there's a whole absolute cautious protective energy that happens before I walk down any stairs. There's a real thinking process that happens and what he was saying to me yesterday, he said that fear of walking downstairs, he said, based on your physiology, based on how little you have as far as muscle strength, tendon, ligament, all of this deactivation, your brain not connecting properly to these areas because of this tailbone injury. He said, this is real. This fear is real. This is not imagined fear. This is not delusional fear. This is real fear, real protective fear. And I'm like, wow. But I've been consistently telling myself this problem on the stairs, reminding myself of the problem on the stairs, reminding myself of the fear of the stairs, reminding myself to hold on to railings, reminding myself to be cautious now, reminding myself to not walk down the middle of things. And it's just like, wow. And it's been getting worse and worse and worse as the physiology has been getting more deteriorated.
I'm smiling because that's the reason we haven't done shows for years, was because of my stairs.
Oh, yeah. I want to walk down those stairs. And of course, there was a time frame for the couple of years that I was doing where I got up the courage to do that. And finally, I just said to you, no, I'm not doing that. No matter how much I love hanging with you, talking, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing those stairs again. Because it just got to that point where it was just now too much. It was just worse and worse and worse. So it was also interesting to see that I do know some things. Like I do know some things. I intuitively know some things. Like I know that when you're aging, like I'm 58, I know when you're aging that muscle wasting can happen. Mm-hmm. I know that hormonal changings, like I'm menopausal, so I know hormonal changes can connect with muscle wasting. I know all of these things. And I have not done much to move forward to try to change anything hormonally for me. Mm. It's almost like there's a part of me that knows that yes, those are truths, but there's something else that's bigger that's creating this problem. Hmm. So I'm not moving forward. I'm not moving forward to try and correct hormonal issues. I'm not moving forward to try and do something from an anti-aging perspective. Does that make sense to you? Mm-hmm. It's almost like some part of me knows. But then it's kind of like some part of me knows, but then there had to have been this psychology that said there is no making this better. Mm. Mm-hmm. Like whatever this is that's been busted, whatever this is that's been broken apart, whatever this relationship is that's been destroyed, whatever, it's not something that can be made better. Right. Like then you get to the impossible. So now you're just trying to you're trying to do your best to continue to function when you can't correct something that's impossible. But one of the divine truths says that everything is infinite. And if everything is infinite, then anything is possible. Mm-hmm. Everything is possible. Always. So it's one of the reasons why I was looking up at the sky going, okay, I am ready. I am ready to sort the unsortable. I am ready to make possible the impossible. I am ready to go beyond all of my psychology and beyond all of my unconscious psychology. And I'm literally opening my arms to the universe going, I am ready. Bring it in. Bring in the solutions. I want a solution. I don't want to walk in this world from this place of such uncertainty physically and such instability physically. And I do think it's interesting, is it all this uncertainty in the world, mm-hmm. all this uncertainty in the world that has pushed me to this place? Probably. Mm-hmm. Right? Just such an incredible amount of uncertainty. Mm-hmm. Does my husband have a job that he can get out to? They had finally lined up, like my husband's a musician, right? So they'd finally, like, how beautiful is that? Lined up like 3 jobs for January.
Of course.
Not in Ontario, by the way.
Oh. Okay.
No, I mean, the only work that he's had in the last 18 months has not been Ontario work. So they literally flew out to Saskatchewan. So I find that very interesting, right? Saskatchewan lockdown, Saskatchewan with all, like if you listen to all the news reports, but 2 jobs on 2 different weeks in the Christmas season that they flew out to do to Saskatchewan. So somehow the people of Saskatchewan are able to figure out how to manage these things to the point where they can still find their way to some level of openness, even with all the craziness that we were hearing. So then you wonder, what's true. Right. But no, not open in Ontario. So now, again, I say it because, there's the beautiful, wow, you guys, the musicians, you have 3 jobs, 1 in New Brunswick, 1 in Nova. Wow. Oh, that's so great. And then boom, 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 boom. They're all disappearing. Mm-hmm. They're all moving. It's just like, oh, not again.
Yeah.
Like really, not again. And you're just sitting there going, wow, wow, we're still locking things down. But what we're just hearing about on the news is cases. We're hearing about cases. It was interesting to listen to people that have been hired to do the stats for government, to literally hear them say beautiful things about that. If all they can talk to you about is cases, then there really isn't a lot going on. If, then it's really not the same pandemic of 2 years ago. If they can't talk to you about all the deaths and all of the ICUs and you're not hearing about that, and all you're hearing about is cases, then this really isn't as serious as it was then. And anyway, so again, it's just the uncertainty. And so I just feel like when I got to sort this, I got to sort the uncertainty of my physicality. I've got to do the impossible. I've got to sort the unsortable. I need help. I open my arms. And anyway, I just think it's been a beautiful experience. So I don't think Lester or anybody like Lester, but there isn't anybody like Lester. Like Lester's the teacher to all these other magnificent people that understand the magic of our physiology at this level, at this rehab level. And I think he's brilliant. It was just time. And I think this whole pandemic and all this uncertainty and all of this disappointment and all of this instability of economy and instability of whatever and all of it, it just literally went, all right, I can do this. I can open my arms to the physical level and say, bring this in. What can I do? What can I do? I am not going to sit here in a power. What can I do? I can open my arms to this universe and say, I am ready. I am ready to allow for this. I am ready to change this. I am ready to change the unchangeable. I am ready. And what's going to happen? Because I know the power of I am ready. I've used it before in my life several times. And the change, the open door, the things, they happen very quickly. So it's another nice thing to say.
Yeah.
And I like that concept. To change the unchangeable. In other words, to recognize that I might think I know the truth. I might think I know, but divine truths say everything is infinite. And if everything's infinite, then all possibility is possible. And I love the scientists that are calling the God field the quantum field of all possibility. The quantum field of all possibility. So if I'm saying this can't be sorted, if I'm saying this can't be healed, if I'm saying this can't be fixed, if I'm saying this is impossible, if I'm saying all of those things, then I am not in alignment and in connection with the quantum field of all possibility. I'm not bringing down any of those balloons of possibility because I keep saying it can't be sorted. I keep saying it's not possible. I keep saying it can't be changed. I keep saying. But then you meet somebody like Lester that understands the physiology at that unbelievable level. And he knows that if he just takes his finger and puts it in this exact place, it unlocks a muscle on the other side of that calf. or it unlocks or reactivates a ligament. Like, it's just extraordinary what he knows from a physiological level. And then the man is an incredible intuitive beyond that.
That sounds cool.
So, yeah, and it was just lovely that, you know, he stepped into my office because like I said, I just wasn't sure that I was ever going to be brave enough to step into his, because to me, he's the gift. Like, you don't bug him. Like, if you don't have a really bad problem, you don't bug him. You know, you don't take a space in his office if you don't have a really bad problem, because this guy is an incredibly gifted. Do you see what I mean? And it was just, to me, it was like, I don't have that really bad problem. I'm just a person that can't walk downstairs without holding onto a railing and without sitting up there having a conversation with myself. But it was also very interesting to realize that my problem was also a problem that was creating a problem for my driving. It was really, really interesting to have him put all of that together. So I was very happy. I was very happy with that. And yeah, so I just wanted to send that message out to people that we are talking to ourselves. We are the stories that we keep telling ourselves, the stories that don't go away, the fears that are there that aren't leaving. You know, they're all telling us things. They're all giving us clues. They're all telling us potentially of a time in our history that we haven't made peace with. Like, we're always on some level trying to help ourselves to get it. Right. And to get there's a problem, and to get where that problem resides from. And I've said it before, but I hadn't, and I think I danced with this concept before and wondered, does all of this that's going on right now have anything to do with that fall down the Cinderella stairs? And I thought, nah, can't possibly be. Like, that can't possibly be. That was so long ago, and I've walked down so many stairs with no problems, and you know, like, how can the two of them equate? But when I look back in my history, that's not really true. You know, even in my 20s, when I was working at Southsides and managing at Southsides, the staff all knew, like, I was fine getting up the stairs, but don't ask me to take big boxes and stuff down the stairs. I don't want to behave like the precious manager who can't carry her weight. But guys, you need to understand, I got to hold on to a railing. Like, there I am in my early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s. I got to hold on to a railing. I can't just walk down these stairs the way you can. So I'll hold on to a bag of something, or I'll carry something in one arm. But you guys are going to have to carry these big boxes. You know, you guys can get down these Cinderella stairs down the center without holding onto railings. God, I can't do that anymore. And so even then, but I had just made it a joke. I just, you know, and it certainly wasn't at the feebleness level that it's, you know, now played itself out to be. But even as I look back, I go, oh, you know what? I was even having those problems then. I was having those problems on subway stairs and escalators. And yeah, that's interesting. But I managed it, didn't think much of it, just kind of got on with my day. But now it's gotten worse. Yeah. So yeah, it's, anyway, yeah, so it's interesting. And it's also interesting to look at what stops us from maybe making that step to get the help from that person. Like, we might know that person is the person, but I can't go there. Like, I can't, you know, he's not for me in the sense that I don't have a serious enough problem. Right? Like, it's, yeah. So it's just amazing the psychologies that stop us. But once I looked to the sky and said, I am willing, I looked to the sky and said, I am ready. It was like that psychology just didn't seem to be there anymore.
And that's why he came to your office.
Well, he came to my office, so that was beautiful. But then it was a really neat thing for me to just look at him after we'd finished that session and say to him, I'd really like to come in to have an appointment with you. Would that be okay? I've got some things, I don't want to get into it now, but I've got some things. And so of course, and it seemed like it was easy for me to say that. It was easy for me just to say, I'd like to come into your office and have an appointment with you. How would you feel about that? And so all of that self-conscious, can't do that. I'm not his client. I'm not the person he's going to be interested in. I don't have enough wrong with me. All of that stuff was just gone. And I was just like, I'd really like to do that. How do you feel about that? And maybe that was just because I was presented with the real man, like I was presented with the real person, and presented with the real heart and the real essence and the real energy. And so all of that crazy drama of my own psychology was just gone, because now it was in the presence of the pure energy of him. And it was just like, and I knew that, that would be just fine with him. And the only person it wasn't just fine with was me. So anyway, so here we are on this journey to sort the unsortable, to heal the impossible, to heal the unhealable, to make that better. And it was funny because when he said all the things that he said, it didn't seem to me that from his perspective, he thought this was such a big deal. He knew exactly, he said, if this is, and he said, you can support this with an MRI. So if you go to your doctor and, you can get an MRI, and I'm sure this is what you're going to see. And I was kind of laughing, going, well, first I'd have to get the doctor, because my doctor retired, and it's been an impossible task to get the doctor to get the MRI. Like, in other words, I just kind of laughed, and I went, well, that's a task in itself. Anyway, it's just an, just a really lovely time. Really lovely time. So I just wanted to start our world with that. Because I just thought there were some really good lessons for me. And some good remembrances for me about the fact that I have been leading myself here. I have been reminding myself. But it's kind of like, okay, so I've been reminding myself, but if you remind yourself, but then you have this psychology that says you can't make this better. If you've got this portion of the body that believes it can't be made better, like who knows where that idea of it can't be made better comes from? Does it come from the portion of the body? Does it come from those two bones that are now not knitted together the way they should be? Does it come from there? That there's this separation or this crack, and that psychology is coming from there? Everywhere has ego, right? Ego is in every cell. So where did that construct come from? Since I didn't really have an awareness, like that's the curious part, because I didn't really have an awareness that there was something more permanent going on in that tailbone area. Like I don't sit down in chairs and feel pain. What I do notice is sitting down for long periods of time in cars, driving a car or something, and really just feeling like my head's getting a little woozy. And of course, he's explaining that as if you've got this tailbone injury, it's mucking around with the spinal fluid. And then you've got a lack of spinal fluid going up into the brain. And of course, that I told you that when we were in our conversation, an hour ago. I just thought that was an extraordinary insight. It's not that I don't know about spinal fluid, but I don't consider it when I consider circulation in the brain. I consider blood. I consider lymph. And I've done some really good things to understand how I can move lymph in the brain, and how I can maybe improve circulation of blood into the brain. But I hadn't really ever considered circulation of spinal fluid into the brain. But that's what he was suggesting. He was suggesting that with that injury the way it is, so it might not be creating any pain for you, but with that injury the way it is, and the hip splitting, like that whole bone splitting, that it's actually creating a spinal fluid problem that means that you're not getting enough of that circulated fluid into the brain, and that could be creating a lack of oxygen. And I was just like, wow. And it's been interesting over the last 24 hours because I've been doing the little exercises. So that's the other interesting thing is I'm watching me. He's only given me simple exercises to do. And there isn't one part of me that doesn't want to do those.
Interesting.
And I've also found that very interesting. Like I'm not an exercise person. And I can't tell you how many times I've been to the chiropractor. The chiropractor has said, do this, do this, do this. And I've done none of it. Or I've done it for a day and then I've walked away from it. But it feels like there is a commitment. There is an internal commitment. I've sat in the presence of this person. This person knows what they're doing. I've sat in the presence of his mastery. He's told me what he's told me. It feels like truth in my beingness. It feels like I've finally been given understandings about what's going on physiologically. It all feels right and truthful. He's telling me, do this 6 times, do this 6 times, do this 6 times, do these 3 simple things every day until I see you again, every day until you're seen again. Do that every day if you can do it twice a day. And I'm just sitting there going, yes, I will do that. So yes, I will do that. I will do that. And is it because I looked to the sky and said this, I am ready, and something comes in? Is it because I sat in the presence of the master who knows and literally the truth came in and got received so that I know that I've heard truth?
Right.
And my beingness knows that I've heard truth? Like, or is it all of it? I don't know, but I just, there's a difference is what I'm literally saying. There's a difference to this whole idea of me and these little exercises. And it's like a commitment to do them. And just, they're just going to get integrated into my day, if that makes sense. And yeah, it's just different. It's just different. So it's almost like, I'm going to make this better. I'm going to make this better. Lester's going to help me. His assistants, his people, I don't think that's a nice thing to say. His colleagues that work with him, because they're people that have trained under him, are going to help me. I'm going to get the help that I need, and I'm going to make this better. I'm going to make this better, and I'm not going to be walking in this unstable, uncertain way. So maybe I can't control all this crazy uncertainty with jobs going away from my husband or my office being locked down. Like maybe I can't control those things, but this I can take charge of. And there's power in that. There's a power in that. And there was clarity. There just was a clarity. There was a truth. There was I don't know. Anyway, it's all good. This was going to change, and it was going to change in 2022, and it wasn't going to change before 2022, because if it was supposed to change before 2022, it would have. And I think everything is in divine timing. So it's time now. Like on some level, I have been walking this earth with some instability in my physiology at a tailbone level since I had that fall. And I've been managing it and dealing with it well sometimes, and dealing with it to the point where I don't even recognize it sometimes, and struggling to deal with it other times, but dealing with it since that time. And now it's almost like I'm sitting going, I don't want to deal with that anymore. I don't want to deal with it anymore. I want to heal that. I want to make that better. Like, feel the energy of that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to deal with that anymore. Not I want to leave the planet. I don't want to deal with that anymore. I want to heal that. I'm choosing to heal that. I'm choosing to make that better. I'm ready to stop dealing with that. Stop dealing with the instability, dealing with the uncertainty. And it was also interesting to see that some of the things that I was doing, like I love the fancy word, orthomolecular things that I was doing. Doesn't that sound official? Orthomolecular medicine, it's really vitamins and minerals and stuff, right? Some of the stuff that I was doing was actually being incredibly helpful, but it wasn't enough.
Right.
So my really recognizing that manganese was a godsend to me years ago. Like my knees could have more stability walking downstairs if I remember to take that little micro mineral, manganese. And I had known that it had links to ligaments. I didn't realize until Lester kind of opened my eyes a little bit more how extraordinarily helpful manganese actually is to ligaments and tendons. And so he was saying, that was a really good thing for me to have discovered and a really good thing for me to have relied on. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Manganese is never going to put these two bones back together if two bones splitting apart a little, like the bone splitting apart a little bit has what's happened. And the hips separating a little bit is what's happened. Then manganese is never going to sort that. But it was very helpful for strengthening ligaments. It was very helpful for reduction of inflammation in ligaments. It was very helpful to a certain extent to be able to help me to deal with the problem. And I think that's a really, what was it? Jennifer McLean, I love her. She said one day in one of her talks, she said to contemplate something expands consciousness. Just to contemplate something, to contemplate the difference between dealing with something and healing it. Dealing with something and actually making it better. And that interesting kind of moment. Then, so there had to have been a moment. There had to be a moment where I had just gotten to a place of such, and what's interesting? It really wasn't about walking down the stairs. Isn't that fascinating? The moment that I think was the deal breaker moment was walking up our basement stairs. And there's no railing. And my husband was saying on several occasions, because we used to have a railing on those stairs, and he took it down for some reason that was about musical equipment or whatever it was. And he'd said a couple of times when he knew my struggles on stairs, he said, would you like me to put the railing back up? And I said, yes, I would. And it hasn't gone up. But actually, sure. So I can criticize that, and sure I can point fingers, and sure I can judge that, or I can actually thank that, because I actually think that was the deal breaker moment. That was the moment when I recognized getting up those basement stairs. Getting up those basement stairs it's not I stand straight like a stand straight person and walk up the stairs. I bend over and I crawl up the stairs like a baby. Like I crawl up the stairs. Like there's so little muscle integrity at that point. And if I have to carry anything up the stairs, then it's almost like I push what I'm carrying a stair ahead. It's the most extraordinary event. With you get to the top stairs. So this is only about 8 stairs from the basement. And as gravity gets to be more of an issue, there's been a couple of times where I'm holding on to the door frame to get up those last couple of stairs. And I'm really just sitting there going, shit, if I can't hold on to this door frame, if I lose connection with this door frame, I'm sailing back down these stairs. So it was actually the walking up those stairs without a railing, without something to pull me up, which is what happens on the upper stairs. That's what I'm always using, is the railing to pull me up. And so it was actually those basement stairs, and the ones that my husband wasn't correcting, that were the deal breaker stairs, that literally got me going, you know what, this is frightening. This is frightening. I am starting to recognize what my son is calling feebleness. And this is not okay with me. This is not okay with me. I don't like the way I'm managing this. I don't want to continue to manage things this way. I don't want to continue to deal with things this way. I am done. Not I'm done with life. I don't want to be dealing this way, and I don't want to be moving out of this house. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was that moment. It was one of those moments. They were scary. They were even scarier than standing at the top of the stairs figuring out how I would get down, because at least I had a railing. So the dignity of those moments. I like Mary Hall. You know, I don't know if you do it too, but I sit here in talks that I listen to, or little courses or mastermind courses, and there's like one of the pieces that I take from that person.
A truth, yeah. I always do that too.
And so I took this extraordinarily beautiful course from Mary Hall quite a long time ago, and I couldn't even tell you what that course was about. Now, I don't remember what that course was about. It's somewhere in my computer. I don't remember, but this is the piece that I remember that I credit her with, because I walk with that now in my courses. It's like, and she was talking in that class about the dignity of everything, that every part of our experience is part of our dignified life. Mm. And every experience that we have is a dignified one. So although I didn't feel very dignified while I'm trying to crawl up the stairs, and it wouldn't necessarily, and nobody would look and say, wow, you've walked up those stairs with such dignity. Like, absolutely opposite, actually. There was no walking up the stairs with such dignity, but it was a dignified moment, because as I did it for the last time that way. And what I say by that is because my world has changed now. My world has changed now. I've got some help. I've got some really good help. I've walked up the stairs like that the last time. I will never walk up the stairs like that again, the way I did that last time. So the dignity of that very last moment of crawling up the stairs and then getting really afraid when I'm grabbing onto the frame, the door frame, and kind of going, holy crap, and there's stuff in the way on the stairs, and I was just, Jesus, this is so unsafe. And I am feeling so unsafe. The dignity of that moment, as she says, the dignity of all of these moments is it fosters another choice. Mm. It fosters a choice. So then there's a choice, because you've experienced that moment. Is there a choice of, oh, you know, then we make a choice, then we see things a certain way, then we tell ourselves we got to move out of this house. So is that the dignified moment? And is that the choice? We got to move out. No, that wasn't my dignified moment of choice. Somewhere in there, as I crawled up the stairs and couldn't manage through the mess at the top of the stairs because of all the Christmas stuff, somewhere in all of that, I made a choice, a conscious and unconscious choice, to not deal with this, to not do this, to go into my office, to put my hands to the sky, to say, I am ready. I don't want to live with this level of instability. Bring in the impossible, bring in the unsortable, bring in that which I can't even conceive of as possible. Because who cares whether I can conceive of it as possible? Who cares? There's a quantum field of all possibility, and I want to bring in the balloons of possibility now to sort this. Because that was too scary. That was too feeble. That was too much. My dignified moment. That fosters. Thank you, Mary Hall. Because as you can see it as that dignified moment, there's no judgment. That was the other thing I loved from that course that she was teaching that day, is that if you can see the moments in your life as dignified moments, then there's no judgment that plugs in, because it was my dignified moment. It was the moment that I had to have in my dignified life. That is my life. where it doesn't always work out the way I want it to work out. But it's my dignified life. And I needed it to be this way to get me to the place where I would come into my office, throw up my arms and say this to myself and the universe and be done with living in that unstable, uncertain way with my legs, because it was time. Now, does that have anything to do with the harmonic convergence of December the 21st and all this new light coming down and blah, 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 blah? I don't know. Does it? I don't know. I'll go into meditation and ask. Does it have to do with the fact that it's now 2022? And all of a sudden things in 2022 are possible that weren't possible? I don't know. I'll sit in meditation and ask. Or does it just have to do with getting me to a place when I teach in class, the enough is enough moment where it got so scary, so unsafe, so whatever, that I was just open to the change? That's it. Throw out the door that it's 2022. Throw out the door that it's the harmonic convergence of December the 21st and all the packages of light that came. Throw down all that stuff and just say, no, it was just that and only that. I got to the place where it was enough is enough. Too scary, too much instability, too much uncertainty, too much unsafety, too much. I needed to make a change. I was done living that way. Not done living in this house. Not done walking up those stairs so that everybody else could walk up those stairs. Not done with any of that. Done with living this way. Done with my physical body functioning in this way. So now I'm in this dignified moment. Yeah, but it's it's really interesting. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. It's been really interesting. It's been really interesting, and this will change, and I know it will. I know it will, and it's just there isn't an uncertainty around it. I've gotten the right help. Gotten the right expertise. I've gotten the right exercises for now. I've gotten, it's just like, yes, thank you. I got a truth about something that happened 2 weeks before my 50th birthday, seen in a new way. I got the truth about that too. In driving, it was just like, yes. So much can sort itself now. Yeah, so anyway, that's what's been going on in my world.
You talked about judgments, and I know we wanted to talk about, we don't have a whole lot of time left, but I think one of the things that we're seeing a lot of is judgment. And even when we don't realize we're in judgment, I think it's when we're in fear or when we're angry we don't see that as judgment, but that's exactly where we're at.
Right. All right. Well, I think when we were talking an hour ago, I was saying to you, we started that conversation. We went somewhere that was directly related to you, but we started the conversation by me saying to you, and very rarely do I do it, I saw a Facebook post, or I saw something. It wasn't a Facebook post. I saw something posted. It was a Canada Alert posting, and it wanted people to sign a petition to lodge a legal suit, 2 different criminal code legal suits against Justin Trudeau. I can't even really say Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Like I can't even come out of my mouth. And I thought, wow, isn't that interesting? And I thought, yes, I do. They gave you the understanding from a code of what they wanted him charged with, and one of them had to do with hate speech. And it was hate speech in connection with what would be called vaccine-free people. Mm-hmm. I like that vaccine-free rather than unvaxxed. Anyway, I wrote you had options to send it out to Facebook. You had options to send it out to Messenger. And I was wondering, as I sent it out to Facebook, I thought, I wonder if it's going to get flagged as fake news and pulled off so it won't go anywhere. I didn't know. Anyway, I decided I wanted to write a message about it. And I just wrote a message that said to whoever was going to see it, Is this the leader of your country, that you would like to have? Is this the country? Is this the country that you want to live in? That's operating like this. Like, I think that it's a good thing at this point to really make it this wide and this big, right? To stop talking about vaccinated and unvaccinated people, to just stop and just say, look, people, this is what's going on. Do you like it? Do you not like it? This is your country. Do you like what's going on in your country? What kind of a country? What kind of a leader? And in that little blurb, I literally said, and I've said it, I can't tell you to how many energy medicine classes, psychology of disease classes. If I had a choice between a leader, I don't care whether it's a CEO, a teacher of a school, if I have a choice between somebody who's standing in a place of leadership, who's clear, and somebody who's the smartest chip in the bag, somebody who's the most intellectually smart person in that room, I will always choose clear. I will always choose clear, because that person who's clear is sitting in that moment in emotional mastery. They have mastered something from an emotional perspective. Just in that moment, they're clear and they're connected. And that's what's not happening. And what I said in that little blurb is, I'm not seeing evidence of government leaders on any level that I've seen in any magazine, that I've seen in any news report, that I've seen in anything on television. I'm not seeing a leader that is showing me that depth of clarity and that depth of connectedness. And that's what we need. That's what we need. And that's what I would like. And to me, that's what I would like for Canadian leadership in our country. And I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it at the Ontario level. I'm not seeing it at the federal level. It's frightening. To me, what I can do, the thing that I can control, the thing that I can do is my own level of clarity. Right? So as I recognize my judgment, in other words, if I have some emotional reaction to something that's going on with Justin Trudeau, if I have an emotional reaction to something that's going on with any government, if I'm emotionally connected to it, if I'm triggered, then there's something for me to see for myself. It has triggered me. There's an opportunity for me to heal something within me. That I can control. That I can do. And that will deliver me into a less corrupted government within myself, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And I can do that. I can recognize that this very event has triggered me. How he said something, what he said, how he said it, how he reacted, it's triggered me. I will go do my work. And I will sign that petition. Whether that goes anywhere, what it does is it says, I am a Canadian citizen and you are supposed to be the leader of my country. And you behaving in this way is so not all right that it's inspired me to put my name on a position to have you charged criminally for things that are cited as criminal in our country, that you are not paying attention to, and you are not above the laws of our country. Yeah. And no leader is above the laws of our country. And I don't want any leader in our country on any level, whether it be municipal or to be above the laws of our country. But if I have an emotional reaction to it, then I also have to do my work. Because we were talking about it. Because I care about being clear. I care about being clear. I care about emotional stability, physical stability, mental stability. I care about being clear. And I think being clear is way more important than being intellectually the smartest chip in the bag.
And I think the big thing is that we're so caught up that we're not even realizing that we're not connected and not clear and that we're in judgment. Like we're so caught up in all of the stuff that's going on, that we're just not, we're just caught up in the everyday stuff, that happenings that are.
Right. But emotionally reactive is also a connectedness to not clear.
That's actually the key to knowing when we're not clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Either the key is that you hear yourself in judgment. Like you hear the actual statement that you've created that is actually an incredibly judgmental statement, or a little bit, and then you hear it. But your other clue is your emotional reactivity to something. Something has triggered you. And in that moment, there is an option for healing. In that moment, there is an option for rebalancing. If you can stop, recognize that you're emotionally reactive right now and emotionally being triggered, and stop. Take a breath. Step back. Say nothing. Say nothing. No matter how much you want to blurt out something, say nothing. Because nothing that's going to come out of your mouth in the next minute is going to be clear or coming from a place of connectedness. So do you care about clear? Do you care about connectedness? Or are you just going to allow your actions to be inspired by emotional reactivity? Like that's what's going on with Justin Trudeau. I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't need that from a leader. That's scary. That's scary leadership. Because boy, oh boy, you've got your finger for nuclear war. Like that's scary leadership. And we are all leading our life. On some level, we are all the leaders of our life. So yeah. So it's something that and it's not easy sometimes. It's absolutely not easy sometimes. So anyway, yeah. So it's a choice. It's a choice. It's a choice to not respond from a place of emotional reactivity, no matter how much you want to.
And how much you think you're right.
And how much you think you're right.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you think you're clear, the fact that you're emotionally reactive says you're actually not as clear as you think you are.
Right.
And there's something that you should allow to be rebalanced first before you step in. And it's not easy sometimes. But the dignified moment, every moment, a dignified moment in our dignified life. And we don't always get it right.
Which is okay.
And we can't always step back, and we can't always stop, and we can't always take a breath.
But we're doing the best we can.
But we're doing the best that we can.
Well, this was chock full of amazing information, Trace.
Anyway, I think it's cool. I think it's cool information.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, you have been listening to News for the Heart with Tracy McBurney. We've been getting the heart of what matters with, 100% love, 100% truth, 100% light, getting clear and getting out of our way, being ready, surrendering.
Yeah, and it's interesting, and choosing connection to 100% clear connectedness to divine love, divine light, divine truth.
I love it. All right. Thank you. And we'll be back next month.
Okay.